Ty Bartel in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we're over to the Boardman boys basketball scene with head coach Pat Birch. Coach, how we doing today?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate all you guys do for local sports.
Well, we appreciate having Boardman a part of the family for yet again another season. And I mean, you guys have been one of the highlights of the winter sports season year in and year out. It seems like Boardman boys basketball always is putting on a show. And no matter what, no matter how many times you guys have senior out from the Andersons to going forward, it seems like you always bring up the next big star too. Talking into that development, what are some of the returning faces and what are some new faces we're going to have to get used to on that Spartan squad?
Yeah, like you said, we've been fortunate to put some good teams out the last 5-6 years. Some we're trying to take a lot of pride in is as guys graduate, trying to develop the next kids and have kind of pick up that torch and keep moving forward. Easier said than done, obviously. We've lost some really good players over the last few years, guys on college basketball and a lot of talent, but I feel good about these next group of guys that are going to have the opportunity to go play this year.
Looking at some of these guys too, what are going to be some of the well, I guess like not centerpieces too, but I don't know if there are centerpieces. Are there set lineups that we have in place? Is it wide open? What is the look for the starting?
A little bit of both there. Yeah, we have a few guys returning. We only returned 3 lettermen from last year: Brady DePietro, Nico Holshoe, and David Daltorio. Brady's a senior, started a good chunk of games last year for us, and then came off the bench at times too. Very talented kid that hurt his knee as a sophomore and is really coming into his own over the last 6 months. He's gotten stronger. He's developed his game. Expect a lot of stuff from him. That's Trey DePietro's younger brother, who was a big part of our success the last few years. Doesn't quite have – he's a different player than Trey. Doesn't have the same build. He's more of a true kind of shooting guard. But I think he's going to have a lot of big games for us. And then Nico, same thing. He's coming off an injury. Hurt his shoulder in the first football game of the year. So he'll be back in a couple of weeks. He gives us a lot of toughness inside, and a kid that can make some plays around the rim. And David got some time as a freshman last year, earned a letter, can really shoot it. We'll expect him to handle the ball for us as well. So those 3 will kind of be 3 focal points. And then we have a host of other guys like DeMar Clark and Antoine White who have really, really worked hard over the last year to give themselves an opportunity as seniors to have a big year. So those are some of the guys. And then we have some talented sophomores coming up that I think are going to push for playing time. Some other seniors that have been great leaders like Alex Miko, Prab Singh are really working hard as seniors. So it's a nice mix between some youth and some talent versus guys that have been waiting their turn, so to speak, to have the opportunity. So just trying to fit that all together right now.
In previous discussions with you, I believe you used to mention that, the best coaches play to their team's strength too. It's not necessarily the same game plan every single season. You got to play to what you got. And, you've had different strengths over the years and you guys have always seemed to play to it. Early on in the practices still, I know you guys aren't set, but what are some of those early strengths that you're seeing for Boardman boys basketball early on right now?
I think one of our kind of staples has been kind of a pass-first team, so to speak. And I think this year we have a few more guys that could maybe put the ball on the floor and do some things out of a dribble. So that's something we're experimenting with a little bit, is how well do we kind of attack off the bounce instead of just always kind of passing the basketball. Defensively, can we get up and pressure teams? That's been a question for us. I think we have the personnel to do it. If we do it consistently enough, that'll be a challenge for us. What you think last March, and then what you think in June, and then what you think in November are all usually 3 different things. So we're still kind of figuring out who we are, what our best lineups are, what do we do well. So you kind of have a blueprint going into the year, but until you get into practices and especially scrimmages, you just don't know for sure. So that's kind of an approach we take every year, is let's figure out who we are the first couple of weeks and then try to get it, better and better with that as the year goes on.
Talking about this year, I mean, you guys are going into another season of AAC conference play, and no doubt a very tough basketball conference, despite it only being 5 teams. Always great teams that they put out every single year. But you guys have seemingly come out on top. What are the way too early discussions amongst the coaches of what kind of needs to be done amongst this team to come out on top of that conference once again?
I think it's wide open this year. A lot of teams have graduated some guys have moved on for other reasons. So It's open. I think that's the message we're giving our guys is like, it's your opportunity to go get one for your class, for your year. It's never easy. I think conference play is underrated because teams really know you. We've had a pretty consistent presence with coaches on all the teams outside of, Canfield has a new coach this year, but other than that, it's been the same guys for about 5 or 6 years now. So you really know what every team's trying to accomplish and who could kind of execute better is really what it comes down to. I think we have a chance. I think we'll be in the mix. We got a chance to go compete. And, once we get our feet underneath us, I think early in the year, we'll be in position in January to hopefully go capture a conference championship.
I mean, in order to get those conference championships, you guys play usually a very, very tough non-conference game. I was looking over the schedule, and I mean, again, it looks very fun. Some of the teams are bringing in, and some of the teams are going too. What are the games in particular that you're excited for in this non-conference schedule that you think is going to really test you guys?
Yeah, we kind of go right into the tough non-conference to start the year. I like how our league does that. They set up basically December is pretty much non-conference, and then January you're in the conference play. And then you kind of go full circle with some opportunities to play other teams at the end of the year. So for us, our December, we have Camel right off the bat, who had a great year last year. I know they graduated a bunch, but I expect them to be tough. And, they're trying to build something there. Mooney's the second game of the year, back-to-back district championships. Coach Palermo is doing a good job with those guys. And then we have Poland and Louisville. And I'm trying to think who else is in December. That's a really hard game. But pretty much every game we have in December is going to be a challenge. I think we could compete in all of them, and also, it's going to be some toss-ups there. We're going to figure out who we are pretty quick. Then we get in the conference play, and that's always a challenge. And then we end the year with, Uniontown Lakes and Massillon Washingtons and some really good teams, Canton Glen Oaks down the stretch. So
get in that federal league a little
measuring sticks throughout. We're going to have tough beginning, tough middle, tough end. So as a Division I program, that's what you need to have. You need to have those challenges to hope get yourself ready by the end of the season.
You're definitely looking for toughness, I imagine, from these guys too. What are some other characteristics, both mentally and maybe physical characteristics, I guess, that you're looking for from these guys in practices that's going to earn them some playing time or maybe some starting time?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. The toughness is first and foremost, especially the mental side of it. We have a lot of guys I think have the ability and have the talent that haven't had the opportunity to prove it. And now that the lights are a little bit brighter, the stands are a little bit more crowded, there's a little bit more pressure on them. Can they go and perform when they have to? And that's something that we really won't know until the time comes. So that's going to be the challenge is mentally. We're trying to challenge these guys every single day to come and bring it. And that's hard when you go from a JV player now to a varsity responsibility. That's a big jump. And, we need a lot of guys to make that jump quick. And then physically, do we challenge ourselves defensively on the ball? Do we challenge ourselves away from the ball to be in the right position and be good players? That's just a constant grind for us every day. That's something that, we try to hold our hats on is we're going to defend and be tough kids on the defensive side.
Talking with a decent amount of schools, it seems like a fair amount of them have had some numbers issues from that COVID year, both big and small schools, because of just kids being disinterested with the sport because of that COVID year. What have you guys done to kind of maintain numbers, and how have your numbers been battling through that COVID year and now getting back really to a normal scene of basketball, it feels like, for the first year?
Yeah, that was a challenge in a lot of different ways. Our numbers have been okay, but a lot of these guys now were junior high, freshmen, sophomores when we were really going through that. So I still think there's a lingering effect on maybe their development, maybe what they were able to experience, lack of practices, lack of games, that carries over. Number-wise, we still had pretty really good interest. We had to make some tough decisions with tryouts and cuts. So I feel like we're pretty healthy there. But we'll see. I think the experience factor is hard. Once you lose practices and games as a younger player, you never get those back. So that might have a ripple effect for a couple of years still.
Another big key to those numbers, too, is definitely the coaching staff and the program coaches that you put into the program. So in saying that, I want to get a chance to meet the 2022-2023 edition of the Boardman boys basketball staff and some other big names in the program you'd like to shout out.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. We've been consistent. I've been fortunate now. This is the third year, maybe fourth year, that we've had pretty consistency up and down the coaching roster. Varsity assistants are the same. Steve Flores and Tom King have been with me now for a few years. I've known both of those guys for a lot longer than that. Dylan Vasella, a former player of mine, is our JV coach that, he's been around me since the very beginning. Ryan McCune's another former player that is with the freshman program. I think this is his 4th or 5th season there. And that's really a cool thing for me. I think I have 4 former players now helping us on staff, which is pretty cool because they've come up through the program, they understand the expectations, and they really set the tone with those younger guys in terms of what we expect. And then probably our biggest accomplishment as a program has been our youth program. We're up over 200 kids, 1st through 6th grade. That takes a small army of volunteers and people that help us run that. So we're fortunate to keep that pipeline going, and it's a time-consuming process. I think I spent about 12, 14 hours in the gym this weekend with youth basketball, but so have a lot of other people that have helped me over the years. So I'm very grateful, and just kind of keep grinding. It's not an easy process. There's no shortcut to it. You just kind of put in the time and the hours and hopefully see the dividends down the road.
You're not the only Birch that coaches over there either at Boardman. So you talk about that grind in and out, day in and day out, season after season. What's that love, that passion like for that whole family, for you guys to keep coming back year in and year out and putting in that work for Boardman Athletics?
Yeah, it's definitely a family affair at this point. You mentioned my wife; she's the head volleyball coach. Just finished up her, I think, 3rd season as head coach, maybe 4th season now at this point. They start to blend together. But from pretty much beginning of August to the end of February, beginning of March, we're in the gym just about every day of the week. Our kids are with us now at this point. They just learned that's their second home. Her season ends, she hands off the baton to me, and we know what each other go through. We know what it takes to be a head coach and run a good program. So we bounce ideas off each other. We vent towards each other. It's a very healthy relationship, knowing that someone that you trust more than anyone in the world knows exactly what you're going through. So it's good for us, and we make it work. We have a great support system of our family. My parents, her parents are phenomenal. So it's a family affair, and we love it, and we keep doing it every year because we're teachers at heart, and we love kids, and we want to do what's best for them.
I know this community is a special one as well. Boardman always surrounds itself with some great families and great parents too. But I know you guys don't need it, but I'm still going to give it to you anyway. A little bit of shameless self-promotion. Shout out your first game, and shout out where the Spartan fans can meet you and what they can expect from this Boardman boys team this year.
Yeah, our first game is Tuesday, November 29th. We open up with Camel at home. We've been fortunate over the last 5-6 years, especially, to have some really great student sections, great support of our fans. And that's really built on itself over the years as we've played better basketball. People are excited. People are invested. Walk the dog around the neighborhood, walking around the community. Hey, coach, when we get going, there's an excitement that I feel like people have bought into the program, and that is credit to a lot of people that have come before me, a lot of kids that have put in time and effort to help build the program. There's a strong tradition in Boardman with hoops that goes back to the 1960s, 1970s. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of those people over the years that built that tradition, and we're just trying to do our part to make the community proud and give people something to look forward to on those cold winter nights in January and February, and they get to the gym. And it's special when the community's there and they're behind you. We've had a lot of special moments over the years where you look up in the stands and everyone's there, and you know that the community's behind you. And we've been fortunate to host some playoff games where you just know, man, they're giving us an extra ounce of energy tonight, and it's paid off. And I'm just trying to keep that going.
We're definitely looking forward to another season of Boardman basketball on YSN, and you can catch the Boardman boys Spartans team as they are on a quest for another AAC championship. All those games will be free this regular season on ysnlive.com. Once again, thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. This has been another edition of Boardman boys basketball coaches corner. Pat Birch with Ty Bartell.